Hello, and welcome to part 2 of Improving Your Brain. In part 1, I talked about ways to strengthen the left-right neural connections of your brain by doing cross-meridian exercises, taking your limbs and crossing over that central meridian and strengthening the connections inside of your brain. Now, it's time to take it to the next level. And that is to imagine your brain, your conscious awareness outside of your brain. And these are point of view exercises. You can do them with, you might choose, to think about what your cat thinks. However, I don't advise that because first of all, I know that you're wrong. And second of all, even though you think you're right about what your cat thinks, you don't. But it's not exactly very challenging. You may have a teenager in the house and they have some sort of seemingly irrational outburst, but you can think about what it was like to be a teenager. If watching this, you are not a teenager right now. If you are a teenager, perhaps babysitting a child, then you can do it with a child. And try to figure out what are the actual needs of this person, because people have basic human needs. So what need isn't being met? What does this outburst really say? But I'm actually asking you to do something more difficult. And that is to imagine the point of view of somebody from a group that you loathe, an oppressor group, for example. The world is split up. So it's pretty easy to choose a group for most people. Jews or Palestinians, pretend you were born into the other group. Tutsi and Hutu, Afrikaner and Zulu, Northern Ireland Catholics and Protestants, Shia and Sunni. So you can try to forget your cultural or tribal affiliation and imagine what it's like from the other point of view. Now you might say, how can I forget that when they won't forget it? Or if that's easy for you to say with your privilege, but you're missing the point. I am not asking you to become more tolerant. This is merely a brain exercise. So if there ends up being a bit more tolerance in the world as a result, that's not my subversive objective. So imagine that, or if it's easier for you to imagine a specific person. If you're somewhat on the left, you might imagine a Fox News commentator that you really hate, or Joe Manchin. If you're on the right, you might imagine, what is it like? What is AOC really thinking? Or Black Lives Matter person, or Antifa, a specific individual who identifies as Antifa, for example. And I'm not going to let you get away with thinking that the person is thinking, I want to do evil things, because it's highly unlikely that anyone is thinking that they are evil. All right. So what is it that they're thinking? And they might be afraid of someone who looks, dresses, or sounds like you. In which case, you still can't say that they're thinking, I'm afraid of losing my cultural and economic privilege, because very few people are literally thinking that. So you have to, if you want this to be effective, you have to think about what it is that person might be thinking. Imagine being that person. What are their fears? An easy target for a lot of people would be in the United States, especially, would be the super Trump fans who stormed the Capitol on January 6th of 2021. A lot of you, by the way, I know that a lot of you want to just incarcerate, even if you're opposed to incarceration and to the death penalty. You want to incarcerate and kill people who are politically opposed to you, who have committed some sort of moral outrage. I know that because I'm on Twitter and I see what you say. Even if you're opposed to incarcerating people, you just want to lock people up. Okay. So what I'm asking you to do is imagine it from their point of view. Again, not to help the world become a more tolerant or empathetic place, just simply to help your brain go to that next level of cognition. I mentioned the January 6th riots because I remember when President Reagan got reelected, and I didn't know anyone who voted for Ronald Reagan, so, which made it seem a little suspicious. Plus, I had read or heard about the National Security Agency taking over the system that tabulates voting nationally in the United States. And that the Carter administration had really tried to resist this, but when Reagan took charge, he took it over so that now you can't really trust the voting. Now, in retrospect, this was not true, but I completely believed it. It seemed reasonable, seemed like something that those Reagan-type people would do to me. And so I didn't consider him to be a legitimately elected president. And in fact, I had daydreams. I remember thinking when I was out protesting wars in Washington, D.C., and there were hundreds of thousands of people, I remember thinking, if we just had boards that we could put over this fence, we could all go in there, we could take over the White House. And I didn't think through it to think about any kind of physical altercations, fighting with the police. In my mind, it was just, well, take over the White House and then it'll be a people's country. And so I can imagine what it's like when somebody believes that their country and democracy itself has been subverted, it's been taken away from them, and that they've been lied to. So this is the challenge, that you will choose somebody that right now your only thought is that you want them to go away. How can we cut funding for that television station, or how can we get this person off the street, or, all the people in this group are bastards. I've, by the way, caught myself, thinking these sort of things, and that's fine. I'm not trying to change, like I said, I'm not trying to change your point of view. I am just trying to offer this brain exercise, because that's what it takes to achieve that breakthrough in cognition. It turns out that empathy makes you smarter. All right, thanks for tuning in.